Hello, everyone. Welcome to Abuse, Addiction, Mental Health, and everything in between. Today, I'm talking about something that's incredibly personal to me. Um, so, you know, people people often hear these words, right? Abusive relationship, right? And then they automatically assume the victim is always a woman. But obviously, abuse can happen to anyone. So, and this is my story, really. So, you know, through this abusive relationship, completely changed my life. Completely, unfortunately. Broke me. Still broken to this day. Probably getting on for 10 years on in total. It didn't happen overnight. Um, it was a slow, painful, for want of a better word, slow, painful death. Constant criticism, being put down, feeling, being controlled, then getting isolated, and then getting paranoid. Um, and then being anxious, and then getting worried, and all of the negative, any negative word that you can think about. For me, I could be here all day. Um, so over time, it just destroyed me. What's the word? Broke me, destroyed me, just ruined me. And I became anxious. My mental health obviously deteriorated, um, which I didn't realise that at the time. And eventually, you know, I was looking for anything at all that would just basically get me out of that mindset, of that constant worry, fear. I was being told I was going to be getting, I was going to be getting, I was threatened with being killed, all sorts of terrible, terrible, terrible things, and suffered physical abuse as well. So for me, the only thing that would help was drugs. I mean, not because I enjoyed it, because it was a coping mechanism. Coping mechanism. Um, so I mean, looking back, I've got a better understanding of it now. Addiction, that was really the beginning of the addiction. It morphed into a different form. Before it was a different thing, um, but the damage got done by just the emotion. All that emotional, all that stuff related to it. All the words, all those words that I've listed or not listed, but you get the idea. So, you know, if you're listening and you're in an abusive relationship, I just wanted to put this out today. We deserve kindness. We deserve to be treated with respect. Asking for help is not weakness. It's courage, man. It takes a long time. Recovery isn't quick, if ever. But I've got hope. That's why I'm here. It's taken me 5 years to get to this platform, but I believe it's possible. So I would say that I'm not living proof of it, but just take me as an example. Just one day at a time. Anything's possible. Stick with it. You're not alone. Thank you for listening. If this episode can, resonated with you, I'd appreciate it if you followed my podcast or whatever it is. And if you share it with somebody else, that's the most important thing. I'm not here for nothing other than hopefully we can make the world a better place for us. But you're not alone. Thank you. God bless. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Abuse, Addiction, Mental Health, and everything in between. Today, I'm talking about something that's incredibly personal to me. Um, so, you know, people people often hear these words, right? Abusive relationship, right? And then they automatically assume the victim is always a woman. But obviously, abuse can happen to anyone. So, and this is my story, really. So, you know, through this abusive relationship, completely changed my life. Completely, unfortunately.